Let's start perhaps by rather reflecting 2024 from the Ministry of Education, Arts and Culture's perspective. How would you sum up 2024 from your position as Executive Director?
Well, I would definitely say highly engaging and indeed successful.
Yep.
That's just in summary.
Yeah, very well. Now, how has the ministry dealt with placements? There always has been a challenge with the placements of preschool children, but what has been the solutions created in that area?
Oh, in terms of solutions, so this year we have decided two things. Once we have already allocated the number of teachers, more than 649 teachers, teaching posts. These are being filled. We have only 1 week for the advertisement of teachers, no longer 4 weeks. That also is an exemption from the Public Service Commission. So there is definitely speed and efficiency now in appointing the teachers. Secondly, we have decided that should we experience any bottlenecks, so far, we've only have evidence in Oshana region.
Right.
Komas and Eronga, I'm still expecting feedback that comes in on a daily basis. But for Oshana, we have not placed 1,200 pre-grade learners and 641 grade 1 learners. But this means that we are going to offer within those regions a platoon system where you have 2 cohorts of children coming to school, John. The first morning, it will be a different cohort of teachers and different grades of learners, and in the afternoon, for a certain number of hours, we will have then a second cohort of learners with a different group of teachers. So the third thing that we've done is looking into project schools. The problem with the project schools, with some of them are not yet completed. The classrooms are completed. However, the ablution facilities, which are absolutely crucial in terms of sanitation and safety and protection, that's not yet fully completed. So we see delays there up till probably March 2025. And for that purpose, we are introducing a platoon system.
Very well. Ms. Annette, last year, a number of classrooms were built to address classroom shortage. Can you take us through that, those initiatives? What were some of, what was the realization behind that, and how did the ministry come to address these challenges experienced in terms of classroom shortage?
Yeah, so we must remember that there has been a conference. Remember Education Conference in 2022, August. From that conference, we took all the recommendations and compressed them into 10 levers of change. Among these 10 levers of change, one of them was the Accelerated Infrastructure Development Plan, which we've come up and worked with over the past 4 years. Now, this infrastructure development plan, we have then, according to the procurement, we sought permission and exemption from the Minister of Finance and Public Enterprises to have direct procurement in many aspects, whether that is now to the regional councils that funds were availed, or whether it was straight to a specific company or other companies, public entities. And through that, we managed to construct quite a number of classrooms. In the previous year, financial year 2023-24, we constructed 510 classrooms with ablution facilities plus other educational facilities. Last year, or rather in this year, 2024-25, up till March, we're still constructing 512 classrooms and ablution facilities. So that helps us a lot. In the meantime, we've also completed Shukmansberg Hostel and other schools in Erongo, in Otjisanjupa region, and other regions as well. While we are constructing, we are fully aware that classrooms are not sufficient. We need new schools, John. That's the reality. You need schools in pressure points and growth areas where there's a lot of migration from the rural to the urban. We see rural schools going empty. We see white elephants, some of the schools in rural areas, while you also have the opposite, where there are smaller schools being established which become non-economical when there are less than 100 learners at a school, but require still a principal or teachers more than what could be allowed per grade. So the education is complex, but we've managed to construct classrooms, we've managed to construct a lot of ablution facilities, Yes, and there are still, of course, other areas of priorities that must happen. For example, Ndore Memorial Hostel will be opened, God willing, and all is going well, after March 2025. There's another hostel that will open up in Zambezi region for our learners, helping them in the flood-prone areas. So a lot is being done in various regions to make sure that children not only have access, but that the time that they spend in school should be that of value and quality.
Absolutely. Of course, hope to see those developments come to fruition, of course, knowing that this has a very, very big purpose. Now, there have also been some reports of some subjects that did not have teachers, specifically, maths and science. How has the ministry dealt with, that issue, that shortage as well, in terms of the shortage of some subject teachers at some schools?
Yeah, so we all know that the critique is out there that the ministry is not absorbing the teachers in the system. We must understand that we have a lack of senior secondary school teachers. We have sat with all the institutions offering pre-service teacher training. And we said, look, you must look at the demands, and then you look at what are the needs that are within our schools. We are saturated in the junior primary phase. We are saturated with teachers being qualified in pre-primary qualifications. You only need so many of those teachers. But in a secondary phase, you do require more teachers to be enrolled in languages, and specifically in science subjects, as you rightly say. So yes, it is a problem. We do advertise the positions. We also have a situation where teachers move from one school to another that really opens up that vacancy, and you have to advertise that vacancy again in order to fill it, because we do not do placement of teachers. That is against the recruitment policy.
Right.
So it is a problem. We are working with the institutions of higher learning to ensure that they increase the intake per annum for senior secondary. But in the meantime, of course, we have no choice. If a position has been filled, advertised several times, and you can't find, you either appoint a foreign teacher or you appoint a teacher who has a degree in that subject, but then is professionally unqualified.
Very well.
Because he or she does not have a teaching qualification.
Very well. Mr. Nkam, we know of a call for support by the ministry to all stakeholders towards education. Can you tell us which areas the ministry needs support in the most?
We are responsible as a ministry, John, for 1/3 of this country's population, and these are almost close to 900,000 learners. If you can imagine that you have the support of only one of those parents responsible for the children, then we have 900,000 people standing right behind education, supporting the school where the children are enrolled and ensuring that that school becomes a center of excellence. Every parent, every guardian, every family member and community member has the obligation to invest the time, the energy, and the funding into the education of the children. It's the best gift that we can give. That, to me, if we have parents that work together with our schools, that support and respect the teachers and the decisions taken by the school board and the school management, we will go a long way to foster collegial relationships at our schools. We will go a long way to ensure that the child's potential is met, and we don't have parents that will go in an aggressive mode to our schools and demand and place demands to our principals and teachers. So for me, it is first and foremost the active involvement and the investment of parents in terms of their time, the expertise, the energy, and the funding within the education of their children. And then, of course, we reach out to the public sector. People must understand that educational matters are complex. This is the biggest ministry in the whole country. And we have more than 40,000 staff members. So yes, the demands from the schools that we have these are not easy to meet. And I think we should, same in the public, in the private sector, we need to have that social accountability, investment, not a responsibility. We must invest, and we must invest at the right level. It's an obligation that is put upon us, and one that we should humbly embrace. And they do not need to give money to the government if they feel that the money will not be declared. Every single cent, every donation, we declare to Treasury, and we have evidence to that effect. If that is reported to my office that it is not declared, we will take the steps to make sure that every donation is declared to Treasury.
Very well.
So I want to assure the Namibian nation that when it comes to finances, when it comes to public funding, when it comes to private funding, the private sector has the right to say, look, I'm giving this donation, however I wish to channel it to this particular school. You have the right to do that. All that requires is collaborative efforts and open communication.
Absolutely. Now, our news team, Ms. Annette, was privileged to speak to parents who were busy with, back-to-school shopping and complained, for the most part, about, the long lists of needs that parents need to buy. And you mentioned paper rims per child, right? So, at some schools, brooms, how are these things kept in check? Because some of them actually, definitely, parents feel it's unfair to, make them compulsory.
Well, I feel the same way. I am with the parents on this, John.
Yeah.
I'm very passionate. The government provides the basics. When it comes to stationery, government provides the basics. Should the parent feel that they are under any pressure from the children to have more, they should do so. For example, things like a school bag, a mathematics set, a calculator, those are the responsibilities of a parent. You understand?
That's right.
But the basic books, the basic pen and paper and ruler and eraser, those government must provide. And I want to say there are two ways of us dispersing these funds. First and foremost, some regions have a 3-year tender, and the deliveries have already taken place. Other regions feel, and the schools also had their meetings, and they felt, give us the money, let us procure the stationery. We know what we want and what we need.
Yeah.
So that is currently happening, and we will get it right. But in terms of cleaning materials, I have seen and I have cautioned against schools asking excessive cleaning materials. Why do we need to buy domestos at the school? Schools receive the funds from government, which I fully understand. It may not be sufficient to cover the needs of the schools, but there are basic things that must be in place at the school through the subsidy that government provides. So why does a school need to ask the parents to buy brooms, mops, domestos, and all these kind of things? If you ask for additional rims of paper, that I understand fully, because paper is very expensive, and to roll and the ink is equally expensive. So that I understand. Yeah. But really, I think we need to be more mindful, and the regional directors also need to come in and be more accountable for the lists that the schools send out. Regional directors need to screen, because they know exactly how much is it that they are budgeting for furniture, how much is it that they are budgeting for cleaning materials. That is a given. Every director should tell you, we budget so much for cleaning materials, it's not enough, yes, it's not sufficient, but then you cover and you don't, where you have to give 20 brooms to one school, you give 10. Until you can meet the demand of all the schools. So it's also an issue of equity and extensive planning and careful planning. But there are lists that I approve, that I say to parents, please, you cannot be denied access to schools if you do not buy that broom.
Very well.
And to me, John, everything is possible, but only if there is an agreement and a meeting between parents and principals, where principals say, and they give a financial report and say, this is what government gave, the subsidy, this is what our sponsors gave, this is what we got throughout the year from you, the parents, Now we sit with the shortfall. This is what we use the budget for, the money.
Yeah.
We sit with the shortfall here. How do you feel? Are you prepared to give a $50 a month for us to do this and that?
Yeah.
If the parents say yes, we don't have a problem. And many parents said yes, and I want to salute them for that. But if a parent does not have that funding, the parent can come and say, look, I may not have the funds, but there's another way that I can contribute. Look, all of us are worthy. And a contribution does not determine our worth.
Yeah.
So how else, in terms of, if I can't give in terms of monetary funding, if I can give my expertise, if I can give my ideas, if I can come and volunteer my services at the school for a certain period, that's beautiful. That's all that we want.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Edie, for that clarity. But let's move over to another highly anticipated time that we're of course looking forward to next week is the results of Class 2024 that will be released next week. Is it all systems go from the ministry's end? Or what is the update that you have from your office at this point for the results next week?
Absolutely. We are very excited to release our results. That will be the Namibia Senior Secondary Certificate, both ordinary and AS levels. Yes, we have quite a number of candidates. Full-time, there were 40,000 candidates, and part-time with 39,000 candidates for NSSEO. And of course, we see every year, even our AS level learners, candidates, they increase. So this year, in 2024, we had 10,614 candidates who sat for exams.
Yeah.
And these candidates will finally now on the 14th of January, which, what their results are. So I always say it is a time of great optimism. It's a time of hope, but also a time where we are delicate in balancing the fact that for some, they may need to find new pathways. And this is also the time we've got all systems going. We have a designated SMS line, which is 99099, and all that the candidate needs to do is to have airtime to press the candidate number that was also on the admission permit. That candidate number is all that is required, and then it will be released. But we also have printed versions that will be at every school with only the candidates' names. Remember, only the candidates' number. We do not use the names of the students with the release of the results. I want to make that very clear. So it's all systems going. We're all ready for the 14th of January, and I think there's a lot of excitement in the air in terms of that finally we could release the results. On the 14th of January, we know that the universities have different dates starting from the 4th of February when they are opening.
Very well. Thank you so much for that, Edie. Now, there has been an improvement in 2023, and hopefully 2024 will deliver better. Now, what efforts we are hopeful of that, Edie, very much so. Now, what measures, is the ministry, doing, or what is the ministry rather doing to improve teaching and learning, especially what was in the media last year concerning school hostels as well?
John, our biggest resource is our teachers.
Yeah.
We can't do without the teachers. And this year, we wish to not just salute only our teachers for the strong foundation they laid in 2024, but we want to encourage our teachers to return to the basics within the classroom, to get things right the first time with their child, to provide the learning support we needed. We've rolled out extensive teacher capacity development workshops in 2024 in specific subjects like English, chemistry, physics, mathematics. We have rolled out learning support training across the 14 regions. We have strengthened foundational learning with Jolly Phonics training, where we go back to the basics of phonics in terms of literacy. We have improved training on numeracy. So we are investing at the right level, at the foundational level. So a lot of investment. Every region, just to say, Kunene has got 7.9 million just for teacher capacitation. Now, take that average amount per region, and then you take the 10 million still from head office. So there's a lot of teacher capacity development training that in-service training that we gave. Also, we focus on the holistic development of the child. We had a sports policy that were launched, so there's a lot of emphasis also on sports right now. We did procurement trainings for the circuit, the inspectors of education, the deputy directors, so that they understand how to support the schools in terms of procuring. So a lot of investment has been made. And then, of course, every region has got a regional improvement strategy based on their context, totally contextualized to their needs. And most of them had holiday classes for our students. We invested additional funding for catering. Most had afternoon classes. And you see the commitment of the teachers. They even had teaching over weekends. Many teachers cross-transfer for a specific few days to go and assist other teachers. And then, of course, we are now at a stage where we finally roll out the last part of the smart boards to 39 schools. They didn't have them before. So that technology, you can bring in a teacher from Khomas to Chumkwe just through the technology, through the use of a smart board. So I think there's a lot that's happening currently within the ministry, and it required quite skillful planning and coordination, and for that we are ever grateful to our education officers and regional directors and teachers for making this work.
Indeed. Now, still staying with the results, Edie, there is no doubt that this time is nerve-wracking for learners who are, of course, waiting for their results. I think most of us who have gone through that phase know very well how we are, anticipating those results midnight or whatever time that will be. What message do you have for those that are, of course, waiting for those results, not only for the learners, but for parents as well, who are, of course, involved heavily in making sure that their children make it to the next phase?
Yeah, I can imagine the anxiety, the tension, because our website and SMS service will only become active on the 14th of January, and that is midday, 12:15. So for the parents, my message is very clear. Please provide immediate emotional support. Create a safe and neutral space with your child where you can listen to their feelings and the expression of disappointment, especially for those who need a second round or a second chance, to redo or to resit for exams. Please provide a calm and supporting environment. That's all that we are asking. And then I think parents can also, with concrete steps and options, provide alternatives, educational pathways. Consider the TVET system, or consider a part-time or distance studies, But for the learners, I'm very, very passionate that every child should feel worthy, irrespective of whether you pass an exam or not, because I'm saying that examination results, John, do not define or determine our worth and our potential. Right. We must also understand as learners that we are still young and that this is only a temporary setback. It's nothing permanent. There's no permanent failure in life. We all try again. I myself had to resubmit assignments because I did not make it. So all of us can tell a story where we were not successful the first time and we had an opportunity for a second time. So that is what I want to say. Maintain the hope and eventually find a path forward. For those who are successful, you must embrace this victory and take it further in your life. And know, in an independent life at university, there's nobody who's going to ask you, did you study? Have you prepared well? Have you handed in your task? You will be independent. You embrace an independent lifestyle, and you still need to be responsible and hardworking. Because hard work in the end, I think that counts for a lot of things.